never, ever be English. Even with that costume and your white woman, you will never be accepted. And then she says, it is better to be a first-class citizen in a third world country than a second-class citizen in the Western world. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, bien.
Okay, je ne sais pas, but I don't know if that is hola bien.
Je ne sais pas, you're speaking French
Oui, I am a woman of
I'm
a woman of many talents, Natasha. Don't try and limit me. I am a woman of
Natasha, je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle Xolie.
Hey.
2019.
Yes.
Singena so.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, girl.
How
are you? I'm good.
It's okay. I'm so sorry I'm late.
But Natasha, I don't understand how you're like Zanopia.
But what? Please.
You are consistent.
You can use any other analogy except for that, please. No, I do apologize.
Okay.
And I do apologize. I'm so sorry. I took the train today and it was my first time.
Okay. So yeah. Without the boot. She took the train today. Mm-hmm. Last week she drove.
Yes.
She was late. The time before she hired a private charter airplane. She was also late. I think late is just like your middle name.
No, but I am working. Come on. Give me credit. Am I not getting better?
Oh my God. Like, let's not talk about... Let's save this for another time. Uh-huh. Because every time you've been late, you've been like an hour plus late.
Do you know, I don't know why you keep saying that. Because I was never an hour late. And I explained to you that one time why I was late.
Sorry, which one time? Because there's two times.
And I was a bit late because Novia was always late.
Wow.
Should we scratch this out? All right, so let's just start the podcast. Getting Guys podcast episode
number 3. You really should stop doing that because it's just
I really apologize.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Hello everyone, with me Natasha
and Xolie,
and I sometimes go by Nat.
Michelle.
Yes, Michelle, my belle. Destiny's Child. Michelle, my belle.
No, I don't know that one. No, but why can't you sing about Xolie?
Xolie.
Yes.
Yes.
I like it.
All right. So last week, hit me. What happened last week? The comments and all that stuff.
So yeah, no, last week, guys, I can't begin to thank you enough in regards to just taking time to listen to and share your thoughts in regards to our podcast. I'm going to read just a few comments that we got from our followers on Twitter who hashtagged Girl in Skies. Mm-hmm. So obviously, like last week was our Valentine's special. So there's a lot of talk about the playlist. So got a comment from a Miss Tandy 1 who said, listening to Girl in Skies, really enjoying the playlist. Makes me miss home so much. Long distance relationships really are hard. I was in one, but unfortunately it didn't work out. This is actually got a bit of a comment in regards to our dilemma last week.
Oh, yes.
So we will talk a little bit about this, towards the end of the show. So keep listening. So I will. Yeah. So we'll kind of get back to that. To comments in regards to the dilemma.
Anything else stand out from you from the Twitter streets?
Lobogazi actually said, she was like, when we played a little bit of DV. Did we play DVSN?
Yes,
but DVSN is on the playlist. And she's like, for some reason, I feel like crying whenever I listen to them. Why? I'm like, because
I felt that one on a spiritual
they
level.
They touch you, in places that's, DVSN is amazing. They touch you in places that's,
Okay, girl.
And there's just loads of love on the character tune. Like, hey, I love your character. Whoa. Yeah, so that was quite good. Did you have anything on?
Yes. So on Apple Podcasts, thank you guys for subscribing, rating us 5 stars. A comment from Connie263. She was like, a refreshing taste of home, Mangazana. And Tara Adu said, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Well done, girls. I love it. And then onto Instagram, where we are at Girl in Skies. At Busheni was like, she quoted the Mngam lyrics.
Yes.
She was like, awesome episode, guys. And then Nompu Matlang was like, I really enjoyed this. You guys have great chemistry. Just so much love. People were loving the playlist. Yeah.
That's great. And can we just also shout out like Salsa in the morning?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh. Like
I was about to try and sing the
Zimbabwe. It's such a tune, like
I know it bangs, right?
It's rebangs. I like the way they it's proper, like it's such a jam. No, it's really good. So thank you guys for shouting us out. Like this was I think it was episode 50, you guys. So it was a few episodes ago. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. And they actually asked the question. Mm-hmm. I think it was Nick who said, so Oli, oh my gosh, the way he calls my name, like you're the only person you're forgiven. You can call me Oli anytime.
You love it?
I love it. It's like also Oli asked Nat about the fluid, what she was doing on Valentine's, and she was like, oh, the situation's fluid, and like we need an answer.
Yeah.
So you're going to answer the people?
No, we're really moving on. I think backwards never forward.
Backwards, right?
Yes.
Right?
And Valentine's Day was Twangirai Day.
Yes.
In memorial.
In memorial.
We don't spend time on frivolous.
AKA
activities.
The fluid situation was nada.
Yeah. AKA it was dead.
It was dead.
Yet another year.
Yes.
Wow. Lord, when
Yes.
will you change my story? When will you change my story?
Do you think God has us on mute just for a little while? Because every day we're like, Nkulunkulu.
I think God sometimes is like,
This
this
girl.
one, like she would be wilding. I know God hasn't given me some things because he's like, yay, if I give her this,
Yes.
what a difficult.
Like this
It's
time says
such a
twins.
difficult. Even like I spoke about how I ruptured my Achilles tendon beginning of December. And do you remember how I was like so amped up about December?
I remember,
I was like,
Chomi.
we're gonna go out.
I remember.
We're going to have fun. And God was like,
Wait a minute.
stop.
Yeah.
So God has always put me in check.
Yeah. But you always need to remember that
He's a good God. He's a good God.
All the time.
And all the time.
But yeah, everything is meant to happen in its time. That was, unfortunately, it happened. It happened while she was late coming over to my house. And it happened.
Oh, you had to put the late.
I'm sorry, but I'm just stating facts.
But
you were coming to my house.
Yes.
You were late.
And then I ruptured my Achilles tendon, which is
yes,
actually
that's the
a
third
very
fact.
big injury.
Yes.
Which is, life-altering for some people that play sports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I started following Boogie Cousins, who plays for the Golden State Warriors, NBA.
Okay.
I feel like me and him, we have an affinity. So I feel like, he's my crush. Like, I feel like some way when I see him, I'll be able to be like, Boogie, I understand, man. I also ruptured my Achilles. And yay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you America has got a really special place in your
Shut
heart.
up. Let's move on. Shut up. Oh, yeah.
La la.
Oh, yeah. Okay, shut up.
Sorry, but what was that?
No, because I don't like you. That situation is dead, by the way.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah, no, I remember.
Done.
Done.
What a difficult. It was a shame.
Guys, God, please change that story. And change mine too. Amen.
Yes.
Amen and amen. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I really struggle with So this happened like a few days ago at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, so my Ndebele tongue, when it comes to pronouncing like some words, I really struggle.
Oh my gosh, me too.
So I struggle with the number 7.
How do you say it?
Okay, so maybe it's not 7. But
Say 1 7 together.
very difficult.
1, 2, 3. Let's do it. You can do it. You can do it, Cole. You can do it.
17. 17.
Uh-huh.
Is that the rate?
Yeah, 17.
So guys, when I'm relaxed, fella, it comes out as 17.
When you're relaxed, 17.
When I read,
everyone is like,
like, what?
Everyone do you know what I struggle with? Garage.
Oh, you're saying it right.
Am I saying? But I had to think about it.
Okay.
Because in my mind, it's garage.
But that
what
sounds
what
normal
is the right
to me.
One?
Garage.
But I have to think
parked my car in the garage.
I have to think of stapler. Is that right?
Am
I saying it right? Stapler. Is that right?
Yeah, stapler.
Okay. I don't know, because in my mind, I think I'm like stapler. Like, no, seriously, there are certain words that I look at, like at work, sometimes in meetings, like there's certain things I will have in my mind and I just won't say because I'm like, I can't pronounce it. But guys, you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I think it leads us nicely to thinking about what we'll talk about in another episode where we talk about how we sound and accents and, you know, how you mirror and how you, you know, because like, I mean, we've been here for, you know, more, like at this point, probably half our lives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you kind of have a duality in accents and you mirror.
Yeah.
And then like, it's just interesting. It's like the switching off and on sort of thing. But yeah.
But no. So that was my challenge for the week. But anyway, so moving on, like politics. Into our politics section. I think Zim has now got a new currency.
Yes.
The RTGS dollar. Like how? Like how has this happened?
What a difficult. Okay, so headlines from me on the politics side. So yes, so this week RBZ came out with the new monetary policy where they've introduced the RTGS dollars. I think it's taken a while for people to kind of wrap their heads around it because RTGS is real-time gross settlement. So it's a payment system that is used across the world where banks use to pay each other and to settle stuff. But then we're calling it a currency. I think my takeaway from it is that essentially Zimbabwe is bringing back its local currency. Right.
I thought that, like the Zim dollar.
But they don't want to call it the Zim dollar because they want to manage panic, right? Because we've had the fictitious bond note, which has been 1:1.
Apparently. Yeah.
But now it's that the currency is coming back. And it's interesting if you have time. Fadzai Mahere, particularly when the bond note came out in 2016, was one of the people who were very vocal against the bond note being introduced. And I remember watching something where Pastor Ivan, like they went and had audience with Makunja. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. And you know, they were really like Mahere had really good points against it, and it's all where do we find
Mahere?
I mean, she's on Twitter at Advocate Mahere, but then I think we can find what we'll do on the page. We'll share like old clips and stuff from there. So what we have now is this RTGS dollars as part of the monetary statement. They also have now introduced. So as part of the monetary statement, they've also introduced like an interbank, trying to look for this. They've established an interbank foreign exchange market just to, I guess, to help tidy up for the banks. So when they are amongst themselves, when they're trying to settle. So for example, if maybe you have foreign currency at NMB and you want to transfer it to Standard Chartered, then that way there's a proper system in place that allows that to happen. Yeah. Whereas previously it wasn't, just because you're working on the fictitious 1:1.
So, but what is, like, how much will one dollar give you in terms of RTGS?
So at the moment, so I think it's something to watch. But at the moment, what I read and just talking to people is, I think the RBZ had projected that one RTGS dollar would be, $1 is 2.5
yeah.
RTGS dollar. But we
Okay.
already know that's a little bit lower than what
Which
was
is
on the parallel market anyway.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the issue of Zimbabwe having its own local currency is not the issue, you know. I mean, every functioning economy should want to have its local currency, and that should always be the end game. But the issue that we have is that we haven't addressed the economic fundamentals, which previously have, you know, seen us leading to runaway and hyperinflation. You think about 2001, 2002, and eventually 2009, when we actually had to adopt the US dollar.
Yeah.
And really the hyperinflation was historically caused by governments sustaining their activity by printing money.
Yes.
Money that wasn't backed by any production in the country. So at the moment, we're not producing near enough. And that is, you know, those are the fundamentals that need to be addressed, that we're not producing near enough. And if we don't address those economic fundamentals, it doesn't matter whether we have a
new
local
currency
currency,
or not,
we won't see any upward growth in the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what it... I think it sort of comes back to the commodity that has been missing, which unfortunately there was a good chance for Zimbabwe to have it. So there was a lot of goodwill, you know, which we've talked about when this new government came in place.
Absolutely.
And with that goodwill, I think the level of confidence for, you know, international investors was a little bit up.
Was raised.
Right. So now when you're doing all this, there's a question around the confidence commodity and how much of that you can tap into. We already know that at this rate, it's far less than it would have been. So, I mean, it's interesting that it's sort of taken this long to get here. Not interesting, but the reason I say that is I think, so last year, I forget when, but Mthuli Ncube, the finance minister, came to the UK and he came to Chatham House. And I went there, and when he was talking about the plans for the economy, and one of the things that he said there was that, they wouldn't get in the way of market, right? And they would allow the market to self-dollarize, right? And that made headlines, and he actually said it, but then they walked back on it, right? Because I guess politically it wasn't in line with what they want, and obviously there's benefits of having the bond notes because you have access to that currency, so they walked back on that. So I mean, for me, it's just sort of interesting. I think my takeaway is that if you are in Zim, the US dollar is more premium than it has ever been now. Yeah. That you really want to keep the US dollar.
But the issue is that people on the ground, like, I mean, there's going to be a few people who actually have the US dollar, but people are really struggling in regards to actually obtaining the US dollar. Yeah. And I mean, and right now, like you're saying, if the rate is at such at a low, what's happening to people's like salaries? What's happening to people's pensions and stuff? People who've got savings in their accounts, like there's such an unknown. We're entering into a period of unknown. And I think rightfully, as you have said, this new currency has just been built on, I feel fundamentally what should be done is to address why did we have all the hyperinflation back in 2008, and then say, okay, so this is what we learned from that, and this is why we are actually going to introduce a new currency. I don't feel like that has been addressed.
I totally agree with you. I think, going back to your question about if you are at home, I think the thing is if you're getting paid in the local currency, you really want to either convert it to US dollars or buy assets with it, because you can't bank on saving, this RTGS dollar, because you just don't know how it's going to perform. Even though RBZ is saying, they're going to put interventions in place so that the rate isn't that high, you really can't guarantee. And a lot of currency is based on confidence. Is how confident are people in, believing that this is the value of the currency. So if you look at the United States, if you look at the United Kingdom, production is lower than it has been, because you're relying on financial markets and almost like this unknown service that is not tangible. But there is confidence behind those countries, right? Which allows you to be like, oh, even if in the US, if manufacturing is going
low,
down, you would still value
because
the US dollar
is
you think
still,
that you need this. So as Zimbabwe, we can't really compare ourselves. But again, it's an unknown. And I think for us as the diaspora, if you're thinking about sending money home, I'm assuming that it doesn't affect, say if you use I don't know what it means. I know there are people who use like World Remit. I've never used it. I normally use like Western Union. I am assuming that they'll still have the option of giving people US dollars and stuff. So, and I guess it means that when we're going home, you know what that means for us, and you know how you change your money.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
And then we've got the Nigerian elections.
Wow.
So the Nigerian elections were on Saturday.
Yeah.
The 23rd of February.
So that's
they were on Saturday, the 23rd of February, and so they were postponed
by a whole week.
They were postponed by a whole week. And we're going to see what the outcome is. I mean, I don't know if at the time of putting out this podcast, if the results would have come out.
I doubt.
I doubt. So, I mean, I know like from what I read is that the elections were fairly peaceful. There were issues with some of the electric cards or something that they use for voting.
I mean, the reason they delayed is because there wasn't enough election material or something like that. Yeah. Or AKA, is this an opportunity for people to be, another week for people to be, I feel like there's a little bit of a, like a financial buying mechanism being used here. Because if you have said like, on such and such a day, we're going to have elections. So people then put, all their monies and all their time into getting ready for the elections, right? And then all of a sudden you move it.
Yeah.
By a week. So if you are expecting to win or expecting something to happen, like post-elections, and then that delay then there's a delay of a week. Like what impact does that have on the party's finances? And also if whoever's moved it, are they using that as a way of buying people, or buying votes as well? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Like I saw on Twitter, someone was saying Buhari is now a vlogger. And saying that he's been putting like daily videos,
Are you serious?
talking about the elections and stuff like that.
Wow.
And interestingly, today I spoke with our Girl in Sky's Nigerian ambassador.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Abayomi. So I was just asking him, what his view was. And he was just like, it was okay. The issue always comes with the reading of the results and stuff like that. And, my question was around Buhari's health. I saw a video of him when they were voting and they were asking, and they were saying, oh, will you be... If someone else were to win, would you congratulate them? And it was like, I'll congratulate myself. I was like, okay.
Confidence on peak.
He was like, I'll congratulate myself. And then there was a video of him like watching his wife voting, I guess, to check, like, I think his wife Aisha, to see if she had. Yeah, so that's Nigerian elections. We'll see how that goes. And then lastly from me on the politics side, American elections. Just the only thing I wanted to mention is on the Democratic primary stuff that Bernie Sanders has thrown in his hat in the race to say that he's running
now.
Yes, and I'm like, oh, okay, interesting.
Wow.
Because we know like people were like feeling the burn and all that stuff. So it's interesting to me because I think his participation in the race takes away delegates and voters who would otherwise have voted for Elizabeth Warren. So it's kind of interesting to me to kind of see what happens to the Kamala Harrises and the Cory Bookers who are more corporate leaning. But yeah.
It's interesting. But what is it about politics that they are over 65s, over 70s, like finds, like, what is it?
I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's a hard question because, I mean, Obama was in his 40s. It's a bit of an anomaly, right?
But if you look around, like even in Nigeria,
they're also. But I mean, in African countries, we'll talk about this one day because I think in African countries we mistake our culture of respecting elders. We translate that into politics, and I actually think that has affected Zimbabwe as well. If you see, I mean, again, the MTC are not perfect by any means.
That is true.
There is definitely a strain.
Yeah,
there's
because
an element
of,
that is anti-Chamisa just because of his age. Just because they're like, I can't fathom. Whatever.
No, that makes sense.
Being led by a young man.
Yeah.
So but that's it from the politics.
Yes.
The politics.
So moving on, I read something really interesting. So I'm reading a book by Nozipo Marayire. I hope I'm saying that right. Marayire.
Is she Zimbabwean?
She's Zimbabwean,
Okay.
she's based in the States now. And she basically wrote a book titled Zenzele. So there's something I read which kind of really it's stuck to me in a way. So the book is basically it's letters to her daughter. So she's kind of talking her daughter through how Zenzele grew up and how she grew up and answering some pertinent questions that Zenzele may have asked when they were growing up, which she probably didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to answer at that time. Because
so who is Zenzele, the daughter?
So Zenzele is her daughter. So the book is called Zenzele. So anyway, there's this bit where they talk, and can I actually just shout out Bougie Ndebele because she's the one who kind of, I was like, oh.
Is she not Bougie Ndebele or she's Coffee Cerebrals Bay?
Coffee Cerebrals Bay, Bougie Ndebele.
Tando. Shout out Tando.
So shout out Tando.
Yeah.
So basically, there's this bit in this book where she's talking about how... Oh, actually, I'll just read out the statement. She says, it's better to be a first-class citizen in a third world country than a second-class citizen in the Western world. I mean, it was just like, wow.
Profound.
I was like, wow.
Can you read that again?
So she says, it is better to be a first-class citizen in a third world country than a second-class citizen in the Western world. It really made me think about how I feel like, Tina, because like you said, we've been here like over half of our lives. We have this bit of a dual kind of nationality, and which she also talks about, whereby we can go home and we kind of know the culture. What you need to, how you address Mundam Dala and stuff. Then when we come here, we can fit in again with the work environment, with with other people from different nationalities. It made me think about how are we raising our kids in this respect? How do we, because do they have this sense of dual citizenship? Can they go to Zim and actually fit in that respect? Because I find that as time progresses, it's these, especially our young boys who get to a certain stage in life, they grow up with, Susan and Sogoluhle will grow up together, play in the same playground. And then they'll get to a point in time when they're going to university or when they're going to looking for employment, where they're actually going to split hairs and be like, okay, yes, you are British by passport or by birth. But then this other person will always have like not favor, but they'll always choose Stacey over Sugolule, even though they are both quote unquote British. And then when you look at how they actually split hairs in regards to your Africanism, there's that section when you're filling out employment, it's like, you're black.
Black African.
Are you black African? Are you black Caribbean? Or, so then there's that split of hairs. So what do we do? Like, how do we deal with because it's like an illusion of inclusion up until you get to a certain point where you realize that you actually don't quite belong.
No, I think that's an interesting topic. I think it's something that I've spoken to different people about in various ways. I think maybe a question that personally I've got is, how come you're still so interested in Zim, and stuff like that. But what I have
But why are you interested in Zim? Can you answer that question? Answer
home.
For the two of us. Yeah, right?
It's home.
Yeah.
And for me, the longer I stay away from home, right, the more and again, living in this environment that we're living in the West and all that stuff. Yes, there are the benefits of being in the West, and not everyone's immigration journey is the same, right? But I feel like especially now, we're living in this environment of Brexit where there's an untold, I think, immigrant vibe around it.
For sure.
Right? You're living in Trump's world where there is, you know, there people are emboldened to say things that they otherwise wouldn't
have said before.
There's a rejection of political correctness.
Yeah.
Right? And there's almost a rejection of, you know, we need to be inclusive. So for me, I mean, again, I think we are different in the sense that sakhulela ekhaya and you know, we came here as young adults, late teens or whatever, right? So we have that, we're rooted, like ukugxila ekhaya, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. Like I'm so grateful that I actually had that. And then you come here, and I think for me, I look back and I'm like, oh, you probably like there's probably like a curve if I think about just my experience of like, you come here, you're trying to fit in, you know, for some reason I never lived in areas where there were many Zimbabweans.
Really?
So all my friends have always been, you know, maybe Jamaican parentage or like Nigerian, Ugandan parentage.
Did you ever have any like white friends, like white or black British friends?
Yeah. So most of my friends are black British, but like so it's like second generation, like Jamaican parents, Nigerian parents. I don't really have many white Brits. Like I've got colleagues in associations, like, but I do have like European, you know, like friends, like Italian and stuff like that. And for me, it's an interesting point that you say, the importance of, and I see that with my nieces, for example, right? They were born here, right?
How old are they?
15, about 15. And they were born here, but I noticed like on their Instagram, they've got Zim flags. Right. And when I talk to them and we talk about music, like they'll introduce me, they'll be like, oh, did you hear the song? Like I didn't know.
Like a Zim artist or like?
Not mostly like South African. Like,
oh, wow.
My little niece was like, oh, she likes Mlindo.
Wow.
You know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think, oh, this is interesting. Because I've always been saying to her, oh, how's your Ndebele? But I can see now she is embracing and associating being cool with being Ndebele.
Right.
Because, you know, in the society, I think where we can go wrong, so where you talked about the illusion of inclusion, right? And I always give this example of like, you know, you're born here, you think that, you know, I'm British, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm British. You go to school, you have the same experience. You know, you're all friends, like you said, Sally and Sugu, whatever. They'll probably call us Sook or whatever.
Yeah, they'll call us Sue.
They'll bastardize your name, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, you go to secondary school or whatever. But I think it's more so for black males. We'll come to that. Let me use like black males as an example, like two boys, you know, like you Jack and Jabu, you know, like they go to school
and Jabu.
here. Yeah, they call Jabu, like he'll probably be like, call me JB or whatever, right? And then at some point, so maybe primary school, you're at the same level, that's fine. Secondary school, maybe you're at the same level. It may happen that at that stage, maybe Jabu may start getting stopped and searched more, right? Depending on where he lives, just because he's a black boy, right? And he'll notice that doesn't happen to
his
Jack,
friend Jack,
right?
Yeah.
And then maybe, let's just assume that doesn't happen, right? Then maybe they go to university, they have the same. But at some point, this system, and I'm pretty confident it's not just the UK system, will show you that you are not you are not theirs. Yeah. It could be you are in the UK or in America. That the system will, it kind of reminds me of there's this comedian called Paul Mooney, who has this thing where he calls it the N-word wake up call, where he says that you know, like famous people. He's like, oh, like Tiger Woods got his N-word wake up call. Yeah. Michael Jackson, like basically saying examples where you think like, oh, you're beyond race, but then
it comes to.
And then
he
has this example of Oprah, like when she went into some Paris store and they didn't recognize her and they were like racist towards her. She's like, there's some point where the system will show you that you're not
Part
theirs.
you're not part of the
reason I wanted to
society,
use the example of black males in the United Kingdom, I think maybe America is different, but let's talk about the UK because that's what we know, right? Is that in the corporate world. So say all this time you've gone through life, being British and Ujabu is not really tapping into his Zimbabwean-ness or whatever. He's like fully British, fully opted into the system, right? And then you get into the corporate world, him and Jack are best friends. But all of a sudden, maybe Jack gets a promotion, right? And then Jabu starts seeing that nothing's happening, right? Do you know the damage that causes?
Yeah.
Right? And I think if I park that example, we could look at like Windrush and what happened with that.
Because that's on another level. The welcome, the royal welcome that people got
in the 50s, 60s when they came through the Windrush and they were invited by the Queen to come and rebuild the United Kingdom.
Yes, it was like, come, you're a part of us.
Yeah, they were told that this is the motherland. Yeah. Come, you are a part of us. And what that even created is almost like a hierarchy amongst immigrants.
Right. So you literally had the Afro-Caribbeans up at the top. Then you had the Black Africans who were who were significantly lower than them because they didn't get a royal welcome saying come into the country. We never got that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So then that's where you get that the term that we're using about the illusion of inclusion. Then why wouldn't you stay ungela maphepha?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you feel like, you know what, and I was invited or whatever. And how many times, even as immigrants, have we like had chats with people and stuff like that? Like my Caribbean, like it will always come up like, oh, we fought in the World War, or this is there's always
alongside
this like hierarchy amongst immigrants because you're made to feel like you are included, but there's a danger in that because it really is an illusion.
Yes.
It is an illusion.
And it comes to bite you like you're saying, when it comes into places of employment, for example. It starts off with that application form where you have to declare, what you are in essence. Yeah. Like, what does it matter? Like, okay, not that what does it matter? It does matter, I guess, in terms of identifying percentages and all this jazz. But then what does it really matter if somebody says they're a Black African or Black Caribbean? Why do we have to split such hairs?
Yeah.
Why do we have to do that?
Yeah. And I think it sort of takes me to the point of why it is very, very important for us to plug into our culture.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There are many reasons why. I think just from even a self-worth point of view, right? Even from a mental health point of view, there is a strong need for people to have a culture that they can point to, right? And say, this is our culture. And I will say, for example, if you look at Nigerians, I think what they've done well, Nigerians in comparison to us, they're an immigrant group that has been here for a much longer time. So you're now looking at second generation, third generation. But for the most part, again, a generalization, what they've done well is instill that culture. Wow. You'll meet British people like who may have never stepped foot in Nigeria, but they'll say, I'm Nigerian. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I think what that does is you are able to opt out of the system, right?
Because you're an entity on your own.
Yeah, you're able to be like, okay, I'm coming in, because the corporate world, right? When we talk about corporate culture, professional culture, that is white culture. That is what the professional corporate world is.
I get that, but I guess the question is, how do we then instill that in our kids? Like, how do we instill that Zimbabwean-ness into our children?
I think it starts from being language proud at home, you know.
And that brings up such a lot of issues.
Teaching people to, but again, I think we also have to be kind to ourselves, because I think if you think about it, you're looking at, say, for example, someone who's come here in 99, right? So you're looking at the past 20 or so years, right? I think we've gone through such an evolution and such a journey where initially people came and they was just fixated on getting a job, right? Getting means to, cater for people at home and also fixing their papers, right? So they never had time to take a deep breath and really sit down and think about, first of all, what school is my kid going to? You know, what are the extracurricular activities? You know, all these cultural things. But I think now, right, we've kind of got to a place where people are settled, right? Even the fact that you guys are listening and you're consuming this podcast, right, is a sign. Say, I'm talking about, say, people who are abroad or whatever. If you think to yourself, you know, it's probably a sign that it's in some way you've settled into some routine where you can now consume art, you can consume entertainment, you can consume
which wasn't the
information.
Case like years ago.
Which wasn't the case.
People were working like
years
mad.
ago. Yeah, and if you think about it, even like when we talk about careers and stuff like that, people were either social workers or in medicine.
Nurses. Yeah.
Those were the two things. That's what people did. So now, right, like I said, there's probably a group of young people that have unfortunately been left behind because the Zimbabweanness has not been instilled. And also because people because one way of instilling it is traveling back home. Yeah. Often.
And constantly. Like really. But how many people are actually able to
That's
do
the
that?
thing. There's the money aspect, right?
Yeah.
But maybe now, people will be
to.
more conscious of it. I mean, I've seen people asking maybe on Twitter, like, oh, how can I teach my kid like multiple languages and stuff like that? Because people are realizing that, because let me tell you something, Goli. No matter what I may want to do, someone at some point be like, oh, Natasha Fiane? Where's that from?
Yeah.
Is that French? Whatever.
Wow.
But there's always no, but I'm just saying that you'll always be reminded
of who you're
not from here.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to think about even the kids as well.
Yeah.
You can't afford for them to feel like, oh, they're just British. No, British is part of your identity, but that is not wholly who you are. And I think if we look at Italian Americans, for example, I think, or Italians, across the world, I think they've been good at pointing to the motherland and, always, having that affinity to home.
Yeah.
Even if you look at like Jewish Americans or Jewish British people, they always have a strong tie with Israel and they're doing that. And I saw like in Ghana in December, there was this festival called the Full Circle Festival.
Oh, I heard about it.
Yeah, and quite a few
lots of people went there.
Were there. So I think we're getting into the stage where we're truly
embracing as well.
Yeah, we're truly embracing our African, and I think this is a great time to be Zimbabwean and to be proud of being Zimbabwean. And we have to shape it ourselves.
Absolutely. I think it just to kind of, this is an interesting topic, and I think we definitely need to kind of guys, if you have any experiences, anything that you'd like to share, please hashtag Girl in Skies and hashtag Girl in Skies so we can just so we can just plug into your thoughts as well. I think we'll end this a little bit by so this Zenzele, the book by Nozipho Marire, she is speaking to her brother when she says to him, Mkoma Byron, you will never ever be English. Even with that costume and your white woman, you will never be accepted. And then she says, it is better to be a first-class citizen in a third world country than a second-class citizen in the Western world. So I think it just literally sums it up that, you need to accept yourself first and foremost before I mistakenly think that the society is going to, or the place that you live in will accept you as who you are. So yeah, guys, share your thoughts. Let us know what you think. we'll probably touch on this as time progresses because it's a part of who we are. It shapes us.
I think
in a way.
it's many chapters to this, Xoli.
Yeah,
because
many layers.
we've only scratched the
Yeah,
surface.
for sure.
Honestly, because like we haven't even talked about how the corporate environment doesn't embrace Black masculinity.
That's another thing as well because how many Black how many Black men do you know like who are in top positions in the corporate world? I don't work in the corporate world,
I know,
so I
for
can't
example,
know.
where I work, I don't know any Black male who's senior to me.
Oh, really?
No, I know none, or even the same level as me.
Wow.
I know absolutely none.
Wow.
And again, it kind of goes back to how, if you see like in terms of earnings, Black women earn more. Or like Black immigrant women. Again, it's a complex thing because if you're Black British, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. I think we kind of have to revisit that because there's also like the diaspora thing. Well, there's also like if you flip it and think about it from home, right? Because I think, for example, Zimbabwean has just been so limited in their thinking of what being Zimbabwean is, right? And there's been this divide, this diaspora versus local people, where actually there's so many ways you can tap into the diaspora and into the diaspora dividend. But yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting topic. Okay, so
what have you been listening to? I know you sent me something the other day, and you're like, you liked it. Go on.
Oh,
I know you were passionate about this.
My tune, guys. So I was just thinking, hey, in early relationships, yes, lapana when you're still walking, when you walk, you slip your arm through you lean on his arm, you're just walking there, gazing into each other's eyes. Anyway, that's a narrative that I don't even believe, But as a song that I really liked, by Berita, it made me think of like early blossoming relationships.
What is the song called?
The Early Kiss. Yes.
So Berita's from Bulawayo.
She's from Blues, yeah. Hey, I have a tune, man.
Can you answer the question?
Such a tune. Wooten.
When was the last time you had a kiss? Hey.
I think Kofi Annan was still alive.
Winnie Mandela was still alive.
It's been a while.
Was Tsvangirai still alive?
Tsvangirai was still alive. Okay, maybe. Yo, guys. Wow. When I get Konanga.
Oh, it says right on the same boat. Like,
sis, you moved from the fluid situation to now on the same boat.
Sis, I don't even
what a difficult.
I don't know how to kiss anymore. I literally don't know how to kiss anymore.
Woo!
So
do you know though? I fear like what do people do in relationships?
I don't know. I have no idea.
What like? How do they message each other?
But what I do know, I do not miss, right? So Berita has this song called Bulawayo. Let me try and fast forward.
Hey,
these lyrics touched me.
When you've been dribbled.
Yay! This is dedicated to everyone who's had their heart broken.
Yes.
By a Bulawayo man.
By a Bulawayo.
Yes. Listen to this. Yeah, we're still
Can you imagine? Hey. Bulawayo men.
So
Lingaboyenza,
so that
so.
is Berita, and then I wanted you guys
Sure,
to
man, ezebhala le ngoma.
Ezebhala uthiwa ngahambe emajamhlobo.
Kuthiwa ngabe egodini tshona.
Wathi awukho.
Wathi awukho.
Lingaboyenza, so. Guys, don't do this. Lingaboyenza, so.
And then this is my pick. This is a girl called Novio Seagull. You know me, I like my house.
Yeah.
I like Vanessa says Zenge music.
Twen.
Zenge music.
Hey.
So she's called Novio Seagull. SEA girl.
Tune.
The song with Lance Hebron.
And she's from Blues too.
Yes. She is a girl from Sky.
Yes.
Amazing is the way you look.
Ooh.
Everything you do just makes me want. If I lose you, I lose tonight. Oh.
It's a tune. It's a tune.
I love it. So shout out to I think it was Tandega at Owami_lights on Twitter who sent me this and was like, oh, have you heard the song? I'm going crazy.
I don't think about you. I'm going crazy. Just never leave me, baby. I hope you live.
Yes. So that's that. So basically, guys, I think what we're gonna do is that
Do you remember Inkomo Zamalobol?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember? Oh my, sorry. We need to go back to our shout outs. Like how. So Mzik.
Oh, Mzk.
Mzk. Is that how you say it?
Mrs. K.
Mrs.
K. Sorry. Yes.
Sizalobuhle Nkomo.
So he literally shouted us out on Twitter saying, thank you for showing me love, guys. Love the podcast. Dope. Woo! And he says every girl in skies should definitely have Inkomo Zamalo hashtag Inkomo Zamalo.
Do you know? And actually, we need to shout out to you guys because you guys showed him so much love. Like you guys showed him so much love. So basically, what we're gonna do is we've got a Girl in Skies finds playlist on Spotify, which we're gonna like regularly update with new songs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we'll show particular love from people from Bulawayo.
Yeah, for
anything
now
that interests us and stuff like that. So guys, Mrs. K, thank you so much. I know a lot of you listen to him. You guys are out here in the UK, America, busy listening to Mick Mill and whatever. You guys can stream and download local talent. So anyway, let's listen to this. Hey.
Yes.
Profile picture.
Yes. Someone's going to sing that about me.
Amen.
Hey. Yes, keeping on.
I push it hard, I go extreme. Please be patient, give me time.
Be patient.
I'll be patient.
Day and night.
No, this is part of like.
One hand on my heart, one hand on the Bible.
There's a part where he says that I food is dozabo Popeye. Sometimes.
Yes.
Wow, has anyone told my family that they love me? Wow.
What's it difficult? Zamalo.
So that's Mrs. K. So
thank you, Mrs. K.
Thank you.
We love it.
Thank you for that. So so definitely. So we'll share like the Girl in Skies thing
playlist.
the link. So it's a
Yeah.
Spotify playlist, and we'll keep populating it. With just showing particular love to our people from Bulawayo who are grinding and all that stuff.
Yeah. And also from Zimbabwe as well, guys. Like there's so much talent.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
So much. So please also
did you see the Winky D video?
and the
Gemma's whatever.
Yeah, I did see it. It's interesting. But guys, I think we should also I think share your songs as well. Like if you've got anything that you are loving, because we also just want to be able to, we also want to be able to listen to a variety of songs and stuff. So do hashtag Girl in Skies.
Yeah, guys. So we did say that at the beginning that we got quite a few responses about the dilemma from last week. Remember that? So the dilemma was, Xolie, it was your dilemma. Someone was like, they were in a relationship, but then the guy is in the UK, she's in Zim, she's 37, she wants to have a kid, and they've got visa issues and whatever. So a lot of people had a lot of comments. I think what we will definitely do is we need to have an episode where we talk more in depth about long distance relationships. But I did want to read an email that we got. I won't say who it's from because I don't know if they want us to say. So guys, when you email us at mygirlandskies@gmail.com, just mark whether you want it to be anonymous. The person said, my response to the email from the girl: first, we need a bit more information. I agree. Second, she referred to him as her partner. To me, that implies that they are not married. I could be wrong. My issue with that is they were already together for 4 years before he moved to the UK. To be honest, at our age, I really do not think it should take that long for someone to decide that they want to be with you for the rest of your lives. There are a lot of difficulties we face when it comes to relationships. I know Abantu Ekaya and many others tend to be too focused on the wedding instead of the marriage. They could have had a civil or a small ceremony before the dude left. But did they talk about these things? We can only speculate. 5 years is a long time to be with someone, especially after 30. So that kind of is a flag for me. Long distance is hard enough, but if you two people are into it, they can make it work. The person she really needs to talk to is her man. Also, him going back to Zim to try and make a life with her can be a challenge. Zim is tough, guys. I agree. Maybe, as you guys mentioned, they can work to on going somewhere wonke, but while dude is still working or whatever he's doing in the UK, because into yonke ifuna imali.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, for me, that long relationship, nxa bengachatanga is a huge flag. Sibadala. At least abanye bethu isikhathi samadope sisaphela.
I love that. And we also had another response via Instagram. And again, guys, so do let us know if you want to be kept anonymous or not. So she says, about the lady and a long distance relationship, uzoba strong, because it's not to the faint-hearted, Shem, especially when there's an ocean and continent between them, assuming she is in Zim / different time zone. She'll have all the emotions from frustration to being happy when money is sent to being lonely. And I guess one will find comfort in another person's hands, just saying hashtag.
Oh my gosh.
Ta uzo was strong because sometimes calls and FaceTimes and WhatsApp videos are just not enough.
Oh my God.
And somebody actually said that you need 4 people. Guys, I think we should actually
Apparently,
talk about that.
You need 4 plus
4
1.
people.
The 1 being the technology.
Oh, yes. So
Yeah.
it's only addition.
Yeah.
Go
Guys,
Zim.
I'm already defeated. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway.
let's wrap up.
High five, girl.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe and like us on and comment. Please comment. Do share your thoughts on Apple. So you find us at Girl in Skies Podcast.
Yeah.
And
on Spotify as well. Just make sure you follow us. And yeah, on Instagram, we're at Girl in Skies, where we're going to be putting like our behind the scenes stuff,
so
studio
do
stuff.
follow us on there as well.
So yeah. But yeah, this is us wrapping up. This is me, Natasha.
And
Lisale kuhle.
Lisale kuhle. Bye.
Ungalana ngiyamthanda.
Oh, yeah.